Hello and welcome to WCBN's coverage of Michigan versus Purdue. This is a top 25 matchup. The teams ranked 7th and 19th respectively. I am Daniel Thompson, joined alongside by Nate Sorensen. And this is going to be a fun one. Michigan basketball is on top of the basketball world right now. Nate, want to break that down, why that is the case?
Well, we're fresh off the heels of Michigan having an absolutely stunning victory against North Carolina. I don't know what the margin of victory ended up being exactly. 17. And it was a dominating performance from maybe not quite the start. It took them a little bit to get it into that game, but Michigan controlled that game very handedly from about halfway through that first half on. And just took apart a team with sky-high expectations as well this year. They're looking like a national championship contender, and Michigan outplayed them in every way.
They really did in every facet of the game. Michigan was just dominant. Free throw shooting is really the only complaint you could have had following that game. Michigan got into a hole early, too. Trailed by 10 points at one point early in the first half, and then it was all Michigan all the way from there. So that, and Purdue, meanwhile, they had played a pretty big game that Wednesday night, too. They ended up losing in the final seconds to the 14th-ranked Florida State Seminoles. That ended up tying the Big Ten ACC Challenge at 7 apiece. So that leaves Purdue maybe with a bitter taste in their mouth, and they are ready for revenge, as tip-off will get underway here any moment now. The 7'3" Dutchman, Matt Harms, is out there to take the tip-off for the Boilermakers up against John Teskey, who is quite tall himself, but not quite the Dutch windmill like Matt Harms.
Harms, I don't know how Purdue keeps getting these big guys. Year after year, they've got a guy well over 7 foot. Harms himself is the tallest of the long line of Purdue centers at 7'3".
And Harms gets to that ball and tips it out of bounds. They're going to actually do a retip here, so Harms and Teskey to go at it one more time. Going to be a rare time where John Teskey is the shorter man for the tip-off, but he does win that one. Jordan Poole recovers it and quickly passes it back to Xavier Simpson, who passes it back to John Teskey from the three-point line. Brozdakis now with the ball, waits and finds Jordan Poole, still trying to work the basketball inside, and now Brozdakis drives to the hoop and lays it in for the first point of the game. 2-0, Michigan leads. And now Nogel Eastern is going to take the ball up for Purdue. Does a quick pass back to himself. Purdue still out getting no penetration so far, and they find Matt Harms wide open for an easy dunk. Michigan cannot have a defensive lapse like that again.
Absolutely not, and it's surprising to see Purdue not running the offense through Carson Edwards. He's a guy that carries the offensive load for this team. That's going to be big for Purdue if they can get other guys involved here.
John Teskey now with the ball at the point. Back to Jordan Poole, who hesitates, decides not to drive in toward the basket. Michigan taking their time, letting plays develop here. 6 on the shot clock. They have to operate more quickly. Xavier Simpson driving to the rim, loses the ball, recaptures it, gets a shot off the rim. John Teskey with the rebound, and he is fouled after a quick shot and attempting to rebound once more. It looks like he will be going to the line for a couple of free throws. Michigan, of course, did not shoot well against North Carolina the other night.
Well, that's been a concern for this Michigan team the past couple of seasons. Now it hasn't come back to bite them yet, but definitely an area of concern.
Teskey sinks the first one. Nothing but net. Looked good on that one. And he has not been, and amongst other people in the starting lineup, he has not been the major concern for free throws, which is unique for a big man like himself. Can start the day 2 for 2 with another one, and it remains 3-2 Michigan.
Yeah, for a guy of his size, he definitely has great touch. Starting to work a three-point shot into his game, really not something you see out of a guy that big.
So Purdue takes over. Carson Edwards with the ball, ends up passing it back to Matt Harms. They're also taking their time to let things develop. Harms takes a shot from the elbow, off the rim, and recovered by John Teskey. That's the first empty possession for either team so far today, and Teskey passes it up to Poole to get the Michigan offense going again. Xavier Simpson is wide open and drives to the rim, passes it back out to Matthews, to Poole, who fires from 3 and sinks it, lights up the Crisler Center. 6-2 Wolverines lead.
Great ball movement there by Michigan. Xavier Simpson had a shot to go up with it under the basket there. He knows Harms is waiting, though. Kicks it back out, and great ball movement to get to the open 3.
Poole was wide open as Carson Edwards now drives toward the rim and makes a really contested shot. That's an impressive-looking 8-footer from him.
Yeah, and that's a made basket for Purdue right there, but that's a shot Michigan will take. I mean, Carson Edwards has great range on his three-point shot. They would much rather him drive in and make contested layups than hit easy threes.
Charles Matthews shoots from beyond the arc. He sinks it too. Michigan starts today 2 for 2 from beyond the arc and leads 9-4. And both offenses looking very good right now.
Absolutely fantastic. You don't normally see Charles Matthews knock down threes. Well, looked very comfortable taking that one in rhythm.
Ryan Klein gets the ball and passes it back to Matt Harms. Ball now in Carson Edwards' hands, who finds a teammate right beneath the basket. Nogel Eastern was the man, but a penalty was called. Offensive foul on Purdue. Michigan will retain the ball, and that takes 2 points off the board for Purdue.
And that's a matchup I would expect Purdue to go at. And we know Xavier Simpson was going to be guarding Carson Edwards. He's the focal point for this team, and Xavier Simpson's one of the perimeter defenders. Well, they're going to try to attack different matchups. Find whoever Jordan Poole's guarding and go after him. And that's going to be Nogel Eastern here for Purdue.
Charles Matthews plays the ball inside, right under the rim to Jordan Poole, who finishes in style. Michigan now leads 11-4 and has scored on every single offensive possession.
And this is all coming, it looks like, through design sets. Michigan is running off ball, getting good screens, going through the play calls John Beilein is calling and getting great looks.
Purdue now unable to make penetration and has to take a wide, deep shot from Carson Edwards, who cannot sink that one. And that is a look Purdue is not going to want to have to settle for the rest of the night.
Well, Carson Edwards can make shots like that, but that is definitely not what you want to see, especially early in the shot clock.
Xavier Simpson goes to the basket and finishes. 13-4, the Wolverines lead, and that's going to prompt a timeout from the Boilermakers. And that was just about a perfect start to the half for the Wolverines.
Certainly, it doesn't get much more perfect there. 5 of 6 from the field, 1 of 2 from the line, and absolutely shutting down an electric Purdue offense. And so far, I think what's been the best thing about this start for Michigan is that they're containing Carson Edwards. He is an absolute star. So far this season, he has had one of the highest usage percentages in all of college basketball and is still able to shoot at an incredible rate. He's shooting about 50% on two-pointers, well over 40% on threes, and he's shooting 10 threes a game. That is absolutely incredible volume. And those are threes from way out NBA range. When he's got guys in his face, he'll hit them when he's pulling up off the dribble. And, well, we know how good Xavier Simpson is at defense, but he's got a heck of a task today to guard Carson Edwards. And, well, so far he's looked like he's ready for the challenge. Absolutely terrific stuff from him so far today.
And of the 2 baskets Purdue has made today, one of them was just a fantastic shot by Carson Edwards that really any defense would settle for, forcing the offense to take a shot, fading away from the rim with 2 men in your face, and Edwards just nailed it. There was one defensive breakdown on the first possession where Matt Harms got wide open for a dunk, but outside of that, a near-perfect start on defense, and just about the only complaint you could have for this team on offense is that John Teskey missed the second of 2 free throws.
Absolutely, and free throws, they've been a problem for Michigan, but, 1 for 2, not a bad start, especially for the big guy. It's going to be interesting to see what Michigan does here. They've been driving to the basket quite a bit so far here early on, but they've been mostly kicking out, looking for outside shots. This is a team that Purdue is a team with an excellent rim protector in Harms. 7'3", one of the best shot blockers Michigan will see this season, but he does have a problem getting into foul trouble. He's gotten 4 fouls, and I think at least 3 games. 2 of them were their biggest games so far this season. That was the loss to Virginia Tech and Florida State. And he's only a guy that plays about 20 minutes per game. He splits the time pretty evenly at the 5 spot between him and Bordeaux, the Frenchman, or the man of French descent, we should say. What was that?
He is a Montanan. We might see him enter the game right here, but as Purdue comes out of timeout, looks like Harms is going to stay on the court, but yes, Evan Bordeaux, his family owns a ranch in Montana, and what do you think of when you hear someone owns a ranch in Montana? Like, what do you think they do on that ranch?
I have cattle. I don't know.
Cattle or like
horses for sure.
Something. Yeah, but no, much more interesting than that. His family, they hunt for dinosaur fossils on their ranch. They are fossil ranchers. I mean, that is quite the life.
I guess. You're still living in Montana. I don't know if I could handle that. Beautiful country up there. I should say.
Yeah, and it could be a bit lonely. You've got really just yourself and the fossils for a while.
Dinosaur bones. That is hilarious. Bordeaux, a great player in his own right, but definitely not a rim protector. The lanes will certainly open up when he's in the game.
Harms gets the call, though, coming out of timeout. Purdue looking a bit quicker on offense. Ryan Klein fires a shot, and that one rattles in. A three-pointer converts for Ryan Klein. That makes it 13-7 Wolverines lead, and Purdue sees life on offense for the first time in a few minutes.
Yeah, Klein's a premier shooter, and he's got Charles Matthews guarding him, the guy who's had tremendous success erasing three-point shooters on opposing teams, but was just a bit late on the closeout on that one.
Poole now shoots from three. He sinks it. Michigan is 3 for 3 on the day, and all three shots not even close to touching the rim. It's been a basically perfect shooting night for the Wolverines.
Jordan Poole didn't necessarily have a spectacular game against North Carolina right up until the end when he absolutely put on a shooting clinic, hitting tough three after tough three. He adds to his highlight reel right there.
Purdue gets the ball down low under the rim to Nogel Eastern, who makes the layup, and that makes it 16-9 Wolverines. Good offense there from the Boilermakers. Xavier Simpson now finds Iggy Brazdeikis. Had Teskey down low, but decides to pass it back to Xavier Simpson, who is considering the shoot, does fire from beyond the arc, and that one rattles off the rim. Recovered by John Teskey, who passes it out back to Charles Matthews, and now Jordan Poole is called for a traveling violation. And that's going to be the first empty possession for the Wolverines so far.
Yeah, now Bordeaux's checking in for Purdue. This is a big change for Purdue when they go to Bordeaux at the 5. He's only about 6'8". He's more of a stretch 5. He's good at shooting the 3 ball, but definitely not the player on defense that Harms is. That's going to be a big advantage for Michigan now, not having a rim protector in the game.
The excavator comes into the game, and you can tell he's about a head shorter than John Teskey. Carson Edwards now takes another contested shot from the key, and that one will not fall. No team can count on any player to keep making shots like that. Xavier Simpson scoops up the rebound and quickly takes the ball down the court. Slows the offense a bit down now. It finds Ignas Brazdeikis, who passes it back to Simpson. Charles Matthews now with the ball, trying to fight his way down in, and ends up getting the ball ripped from his hands by Ryan Klein. Trying to pass it to on a fast break. Purdue cannot convert anything. 2 missed layups. Now Michigan has the ball. They slow it down. Brazdeikis fires from 3, and he sinks it. Michigan now 4 for 5 from beyond the arc and has a 10-point lead with 14 minutes to go in this game.
Excellent shot by Iggy there, but it's a thing to point out there. Bordeaux may have missed the putback there, but he adds another offensive rebound to the season. He's a transfer from Dartmouth. He was always an average or so offensive rebounder there. He's been absolutely elite so far this season with Purdue.
Bordeaux now fires from 3, and the ball rattles around the rim and falls in. Quiets the Crisler Center for a bit here. 19-12 Wolverines lead. And that one was about halfway out before it finally fell in.
Yeah, and that's the reason why he plays about half the minutes at the 5 for Purdue. He absolutely changes this team's entire dynamic when he's on the floor.
Poole finds Ignas Brazdeikis from the wing, who is now dribbling in toward the rim and gets swatted by Nogel Eastern, is the one who blocked that shot. And Purdue now takes possession down 7. Carson Edwards trying to fight his way inside, makes a move past John Teskey, and sinks his layup. Ignas Brazdeikis, was in on defense. And Purdue cuts the deficit to 5 after being down 19-9 just a minute ago. Xavier Simpson will take the ball up the court now. Across midcourt, Michigan is slowing down their tempo a bit here. Simpson finds Charles Matthews. They bring it back to Simpson at the point, who tries to drive in toward the basket, gets off a layup, and it's in. 21-14, Wolverines lead in a football score over the Boilermakers right for now. Nogel Eastern will bring the ball up at the point for the Boilermakers. Ryan Klein being guarded by Ignas Brazdeikis. And they pass it in to Carson Edwards, and you cannot leave him with a lane to the hoop. He easily finishes that layup off, and it's 21-16 Wolverines.
That opportunity is going to be there for Purdue. Now that there's a stretch 5 in the game, John Teskey is pulled away from the basket. There's going to be more opportunities at the rim now.
Brazdeikis finds Charles Matthews. near the rim, fighting forward, and takes a fadeaway shot that rolls out of the basket. That went off the hands of Purdue, though, so it will remain Michigan ball. And that's not a great look for Charles Matthews there. Basically had 4 players around him with hands in his face.
Yeah, that looked like a Kobe Bryant shot right there.
It really did. Trying to maybe do it a bit too much by himself right there was Charles Matthews. In the end, no harm, no foul as Michigan retains possession. And because that ball went off the rim, there's going to be effectively a full shot clock for the Wolverines, who lead 21-16 with 12 minutes and 2 seconds to go in the first half.
And now Harms just checked into the game to play alongside Bordeaux.
Simpson found Jordan Poole, who also hits a 3, his third of the game, and the Wolverines are 5 from 6 from beyond the arc as they lead 24-16 in a fantastic start against the Purdue Boilermakers. Bordeaux now also in the game, so 2 big men here for the Boilermakers. Bordeaux can't handle the pass, though, and Ignas Brazdeikis recovers the ball and slams it in for a quick fast break Wolverine point off the turnover. 26-16, Wolverines back on top by 10.
And you can see the maize and blue Canadian flag waving in the Maze Rage section right now. Hopefully whoever had one from the Nick Stauskas days kept those around, because Canadians are shining bright here in Crisler.
Edwards tries to get past Simpson and ends up firing a contested shot, recovered by Jordan Poole. And Simpson has done a great job keeping the lid on Carson Edwards today. He's done some damage, but not his typical amount. Simpson slows it down. 10 on the shot clock, and they pass it out wide to Charles Matthews, who fires, and he sinks it from 3. Michigan is making just about everything. The one Xavier Simpson 3 is the only one not to fall so far. And Michigan, their heat checks are going in right now. 29-16 lead for the Wolverines.
There's absolutely nothing an opposing team can do when Michigan's making the 3 ball like this, especially a guy like Charles Matthews. I mean, you would settle for him shooting a 3 every time.
Edwards cannot sink the mid-range 2. Ignas Brazdeikis in on defense, and he's going to have to get more creative. Can't keep on taking these one-on-one opportunities. John Teske sinks the alley-oop. Charles Matthews lobbed it up to him, and that had to force a timeout. Purdue coach Matt Painter. It's his 14th season in the Big Ten with the Boilermakers. He's 13-12 against Michigan all time, and I don't think he's ever had to face a Michigan team playing so well. Maybe the Big Ten championship game from the last time they faced. But Michigan is just unstoppable right now. This is a defensive team that's put up 31 points in the first.
Yeah, well, this shooting will not continue, but so far you got to love the distribution of shots by the Wolverines. I mean, they've been hitting the 3-point basket, but not falling in love with it. They've been driving inside, even with Harms in the game. You know, he's really an intimidating presence in the game. Has not been too much of a factor so far. He doesn't have any blocks yet. And the only block so far for Purdue was Edwards coming off the weak side, I believe that was. Or actually, excuse me, that was Nogel coming off the weak side to get a block. So far, Michigan has just looked like there's no defensive resistance going into the paint, and they keep taking advantage of that. Absolutely dominating in all facets of the game right now.
And this Michigan team has a really slow pace. That's kind of a key characteristic of John Beilein teams. Right now, they've just been converting everything. They've had looks to go to the rim. They've been going so much faster than they usually do, and that's why right now they're on pace for over 125 points. It's not going to... I don't think that will stay true for the rest of the night, but they're playing with a high-flying pace. Everyone knows that this is one of the best defenses, if not the best in college basketball. But their offense could play with anyone the way they're playing today.
Absolutely, and it's been all 5 guys. They haven't put in a sub yet. It's been all 5 starters playing here so far, but how equal the scoring has been across the board is incredible. Matthews with 6, hitting the 2 threes. Jordan Poole leading the way with 11. Xavier Simpson has 2 layups for 4 points. Iggy Brazdeikis with 7, and John Teske just got himself 3 points with that thunderous dunk off the alley-oop. Absolutely, it's been a team effort here so far, and everyone's just looking absolutely spectacular. A team like this, that's this multi-dimensional. We were talking about with Purdue, it's Carson Edwards as the guy who has to carry the load for this team, and if he can be neutralized, the Boilermakers do not have other guys that can make plays. Well, right now you're seeing that Michigan is maybe not the deepest team in the world, but they've got multiple playmakers in their starting lineup, and that's going to be enough to make them incredibly hard to stop on a night-to-night basis.
Lawrence Bennett, the veteran of the game, is honored right now during this TV timeout, and what a time to be veteran of the game right now. And this crowd is so into it at this moment, leading 31-16, nearly doubling the Boilermakers. One of the better teams in the Big Ten as Michigan gets Big Ten play underway, and one of their toughest challenges for a while here. They go to Northwestern on Tuesday night, and then they don't play a Big Ten game for a while, not till 2019. They do have to play Michigan State in 2 of their final games to end up the Big Ten play in the season. But Michigan off to a really tremendous start in Big Ten play.
Yeah, and we cannot really overstate how good of a team Purdue is. I mean, Painter is one of the best coaches in the Big Ten, quite easily. And Purdue, they're off to a 5-2 start. They're ranked 19th, but their only 2 losses have been to a 16th ranked Virginia Tech. That was a 6-point loss at home. And their last game, the ACC Challenge game, the 1-point loss at Florida State, who was ranked 15. Like, they're playing very well so far this season. They just look like they're running into a buzzsaw here in the Michigan Wolverines.
Nogel Eastern now brings the ball up for the Boilermakers out of the timeout. He has the ball now, trying to drive in, guarded by Jordan Poole. They bring it out from beyond the arc. Matt Harms fires, no good. Recovered by Jordan Poole. Gets himself a rebound and passes the ball back to Xavier Simpson to run the regular offense. Michigan, now Isaiah Livers has entered the game. John Teskey loses balance but finds Isaiah Livers, who fires from beyond the arc, and he misses. Only the second Wolverine to miss on the day. He is the now only 6th player for the Wolverines to enter the game. Nogel Eastern drives to the basket, knocks one off the backboard, doesn't quite go in though. Matt Harms on the rebound, can't get the putback, and Jordan Poole collects himself another rebound. Charles Matthews now with the ball, taking things slowly here. Michigan has time to run their offense. Ignas Brazdeikis is the Wolverine starter out of the game. From the free throw line, Charles Matthews fires and is no good. That area of the court he seems to struggle with.
Yeah, that's been 2 possessions now. Really, the only bad possessions for Michigan is when Matthews has juggled just a little too much, taking a contested mid-range jumper.
Matt Harms with the ball, gets it to Nogel Eastern, who finds Harms close to the rim but can't quite put it in over the 6'6" Charles Matthews. And Xavier Simpson now takes the ball, looking to find a way inside. They have John Teskey now about 8 feet away from the rim, and his ball goes off the inside of the rim, no good, and no scoring for about a minute here now, which is very unique for this game.
Yeah, and right now, Carson Edwards not in the game for Purdue. This is a time Michigan should really be winning. You know, they've got to win the Carson Edwards minutes when he's off the floor. So far, they've been doing well when he's on the floor, but these are the times Michigan should really give themselves a cushion.
And a traveling violation committed by Matt Harms. That takes him out of the game. Evan Bordeaux was called by Painter to get up off the bench immediately after that traveling violation, so maybe that had impacted the decision. Eli Brooks enters the game alongside Austin Davis, so now the Wolverines have used 8 players in this one. And Eli Brooks will take the point guard duties over from Xavier Simpson. Poole now driving to the rim and loses the ball. Purdue scoops it up, and that's Sasha Stefanovic now, who passes the ball to Ryan Klein, who aims from beyond the arc. That one is recovered by Stefanovic, and eventually Eli Brooks ends up getting the rebound.
Excellent hands by Isaiah Livers to tip that pass, and led to Eli Brooks recovering.
That might go down as a turnover, actually, rather than a rebound. Austin Davis is called with the offensive foul, so the score will remain 31-16, and John Beilein now calls timeout. So between that Painter timeout and that Beilein timeout, no points scored at all, which is the total 180 from what this game had been up until then.
Yes, definitely some ugly basketball right there, and Michigan just didn't look like they were running their stuff. There's a couple possessions there with Matthews dribbling too much, getting a bad shot. Going to Austin Davis, Austin Davis is in there to play defense, to be a big body. For him to be getting the ball right there, trying to make a move, that's not the kind of offense that Michigan wants right now. A good timeout here by John Beilein to get them settled. And after that, maybe getting a little bit too far away from what their game is here.
Indeed, the Wolverines looked unlike themselves, even their regular selves on offense for those past few possessions. John Beeline taking some time to regroup. But I mean, right now the Wolverines are just looking wonderful. Of course, they don't play a game until the new rankings come out on Monday. You figure they're going to be very high if this trend continues. And Purdue is quite unfortunate. They're going to end up losing, if the score holds, they're going to end up losing to 3 ranked teams. You could very well put it together an argument for why a 5-3 Purdue team still should be in the top 25.
Absolutely, and Purdue they ended up. They were a very good team. I ended up winning the Big Ten in the regular season, I believe. They did lose 2 of their 3 best players in Isaac Haas and I'm never sure how to say it's Dakota Mathias, and the sharpshooter, the scrappy senior. They lost him as well. Those were 2 guys that were big difference makers for this team. Guys that were really a big part of their identity that Purdue lost. But Carson Edwards is just such a star. He's been able to pick up the slack. They're really a big 3 last year, a very balanced attack between those 3. Now Carson Edwards has got to do all of that work on his own, and so far he has been excellent. It just hasn't been enough to beat 2 very good teams in Virginia Tech and Florida State, and it's looking like it's going the same way here in Ann Arbor.
Purdue has been one of the best teams in the Big Ten for a while now. For all 4 years of the Isaac Haas era, they earned a top 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament, winning the Big Ten in the 2016-2017 season, the regular season title at least. Before Isaac Haas got there, they actually finished 12th in the Big Ten, dead last that year, back before Rutgers and Maryland joined. But in the past 4 years, including this one, they've been one of the best teams in the Big Ten, finished 3rd last year due to some tiebreakers. But right now, they are in trouble. They're in all likelihood going to drop to 0-1 in Big Ten play. And this Michigan team looks like they're on a mission.
They absolutely do, and they're a team with so much talent, but they all play so well together. There's no single guy that's stood out here really today, and they just look so great together as a team, and it's really showing so far this season how cohesive they are.
Nogel Eastern resumes play here, bringing the ball down the court for the Boilermakers. And that looks to be a charge foul assessed against the Boilermakers. Ignas Brazdakis was the victim on that one, so the Wolverines will take over, and still neither team has scored for approaching 3 minutes of game time now. 10:32 was the last time the last bucket was scored. It's 7:40 to go in this one.
And that was a good job there by Brazdakis. He kept himself in front of Wheeler right there, and Wheeler does extend the arm, but I think Iggy might have sold that one a little bit there. He flopped to the ground pretty hard.
Xavier Simpson with the ball, attempts to drive into the lane, ends up getting fouled. Should be a foul on the court, though, as Carson Edwards has re-entered the game. So as Xavier Simpson is about to inbound this ball, Carson Edwards will once again be an area of concern for the Wolverines, Purdue's best player and the only returning starter from last year's team that made the Elite Eight, or Sweet 16 rather. Eli Brooks gets the inbound, thinks about shooting, but decides to bring the ball out to the point. Isaiah Livers now with the ball, and back to Xavier Simpson. 13 seconds on the shot clock. Simpson passes up to a wide open Jordan Poole, decides not to shoot, and Eli Brooks now from beyond the arc. That one doesn't go in, and recovered by Sasha Stefanovic.
And I think Jordan Poole should have caught that one shot it as soon as he caught it on the perimeter there. Thought about it too much, tried to do a step back, it wasn't working.
Nogel Eastern cannot corral the pass from Carson Edwards. The ball rolls out of bounds and will be inbounded by Eli Brooks. Wolverines take the ball 31-16. Still no scoring now for 3.5 minutes in this one. Brazdakis with the ball. Jordan Poole now has it. Tries to drive to the rim, and that's an easy layup, but he can't get the finish. Carson Edwards gets the rebound, and we are still tied, or we're still at a 15-point lead for the Wolverines. 31-16. Carson Edwards now driving to the rim. And finally, Carson Edwards gets the putback after missing the first shot. 31-18, first points in 3 minutes and 57 seconds.
Now, Michigan's offense has got to answer. They got themselves a couple of easy buckets on the last 2 possessions. They just couldn't finish.
Xavier Simpson now goes to the rim, and that one doesn't fall either. Michigan could not buy a basket for the past 4 minutes here. And Nogel Eastern got the rebound, is going to bring the ball up for the Boilermakers. Bordeaux now trying to drive to the rim. Good defense from Isaiah Livers. Forces a contested shot that is missed and recovered by Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole trying to force the issue, goes directly to the rim, and he finally puts one in for the Wolverines. The lid has been removed from the basket, and the Wolverines go back up to 15, tying their largest lead of the day.
And that may have been a pretty long scoring drought, but those last, I'd say, 4 possessions there for the Wolverines were all very fruitful. Just couldn't get baskets to go, and we know that their hot start wasn't going to keep going forever, but those shots will go down pretty consistently, I would think.
Ryan Klein fires a contested three-pointer over Isaiah Livers, but sinks it 33-21, the Wolverines lead. And he's been a bit of an issue now for the Wolverines, making his second 3 of the day.
Yeah, he's a terrific sharpshooter, and he's got a little bit of an NBA game to him where he's able to shoot without his body completely squared up to the basket, turn in midair, and make tough shots like that one.
Xavier Simpson with the bad pass ends up being turned over. Ryan Klein gets the steal, ends up driving to the basket, and a blocking foul is assessed against Eli Brooks. And that will be a shooting foul, so that will send Ryan Klein to the line. He's a pretty good free throw shooter. Purdue now can make this a 10-point game with 2 good free throws. No, sorry, that was going to be a foul on the court. So Purdue will inbound it.
I'm surprised that one was not called in the act of shooting. He was definitely driving to the rim to score right there. I'd be upset if I were a Purdue fan.
Evan Bordeaux fires from beyond the arc. That one rattles off the backboard and is rebounded by Isaiah Livers. Wolverines now take over possession. Charles Matthews with the ball. Finds Eli Brooks and immediately back to Matthews. Steps twice, looks to shoot, does shoot, and he sinks his third 3 of the game. Charles Matthews is on fire tonight from beyond the arc. Wolverines back up 15, 36-21. Really flawless game on his part.
And 3-point shooting is by far not his strength, and he looks like as comfortable as you can be from out there right now.
Carson Edwards now is fouled. Both teams staying out of foul trouble. 4-3 right now. The Boilermakers with one more foul. And we have not seen many free throws. This is going to be the first free throws for Purdue all game. John Teskey had Michigan's only 2, made one of them. Carson Edwards now going to take the first shots from the charity stripe for the Boilermakers. This game has been a very clean game and a very fast-moving game. 4:27 to go in the first half only. Edwards makes the first one as John Teskey checks into the game. Isaiah Livers coming out.
Yeah, well, there have been a lot of 3-point shot attempts, and that will lead to not too many free throws being shot, but really surprising that there's only been, I believe, 6 fouls called combined here so far in this first half.
Edwards sinks the second, so that makes it a 13-point game, rather, 36-23 Wolverines lead. That puts Purdue at 100% free throw shooting, although only on 2 shots.
Better than Michigan.
Michigan's sitting at 50 right now. Eli Brooks carelessly turns the ball over to Nogel Eastern, who decides to slow things down. Passes the ball to Ryan Klein, who gets it to Carson Edwards, and that ball is way short. That 3-point attempt ended up landing inbounds.
And that surprised, it looked like Eli Brooks got a hand on the ball. If he didn't get a hand on the ball, it looked like he got Carson Edwards' hand as he was releasing. I'm surprised there was no foul. Or, they called that one a tip ball. It looked like there was some contact there.
So the Wolverines will take over down 13. Xavier Simpson now misses from 3, so he's 0 for 2 on the day. And Evan Bordeaux gets the rebound. Carson Edwards drives immediately to the rim. Can't quite get it, but the putback is in. And that will keep the Boilermakers in it as Grady Eifert gets his first points of the game. 36-25, Wolverines lead. Eli Brooks now with the ball. Charles Matthews has it from beyond the arc. He's been electric from there. 3 for 3 so far. Elects not to shoot, though. Gets the ball back now and is going to drive to the basket. Wisely passes the ball back out. And Eli Brooks wide open from beyond the arc, and he's in. He's good. 39-25, Wolverines lead, and they have been money from beyond the arc. That brings them up to 8 for 12, 67% shooting. Purdue has no chance if Michigan's going to keep getting these open looks.
Absolutely not, and absolutely terrific ball movement by Michigan right there to get that open three.
Good ball movement by the Boilermakers. They get Ryan Klein wide open, and he sinks that. Michigan cannot let a shooter like Ryan Klein get that open. A 41% free throw shooter. He's going to make that most of the time. That cuts the lead back down to 11. 39-28, Wolverines lead. 2:44 to go in the first half of this one. Michigan on pace to have one of their highest scoring games of the season. Brosdakis steps back from beyond the arc, and he's good. 9 for 13 are the Wolverines, and I cannot believe my eyes right now. Wolverines lead 42-28, doubling the previous score of 21-14 at one point. This one is getting out of hand for the Boilermakers.
The Wolverines are looking a lot like the Warriors right now.
Evan Bordeaux, that might be a two-point shot. Doesn't matter because that one goes off the rim, and Xavier Simpson jumps up to get the rebound. Wolverines can take their biggest lead of the game with any kind of field goal. Charles Matthews has the ball. Looked like he wanted to drive, but hesitates. Lobs it to John Teske, who puts that one in, and the Wolverines take their first 16-point lead of the game, 44-28, and that's the second alley-oop between Matthews and Teske. The chemistry on this offense right now is just too much for Purdue to handle.
And that's Matthews' fourth assist so far here today, tied with Xavier Simpson for the lead for this team. Great ball movement by this entire team.
Carson Edwards takes a contested three, but it is rebounded by the Boilermakers, so they're going to keep the offensive possession. The three is fired. That one goes off the rim and recovered by Eli Brooks. Grady Eifert getting more involved in this one. One of their starters whose name had not been called up until a few minutes ago when he got his first points.
And he's not really a threat on offense. He's not really a guy the Boilermakers want shooting threes.
Matthews misses his first three, but almost collects the rebound, goes off his hands, and Xavier Simpson picks it up. A bit of confusion there, but Matthews now firing from the elbow, doesn't go in, and recovered now there by Grady Eifert.
And that's tough, because when Xavier Simpson recovered that ball, Iggy was wide open in the corner, desperately calling for it, but he just completely missed him.
Edwards makes a good move and gets wide open to the basket, cannot put in the easy layup, though. And Ignas Brosdakis gets the rebound. 44 seconds to go in a very quick moving first half here. Simpson passes it to Teske. There is more time on the game clock than shot clock, so the Wolverines are going to take their time here. Simpson throws the ball off the foot of Grady Eifert. Not sure where he was going on that pass. But it will be an inbound for the Wolverines with 11 seconds to go on the shot clock. And really a near perfect first half for the Wolverines. Not one of their better defensive performances. Right now the Boilermakers are on pace to get to right around 60, but a really good game for the Wolverines so far.
Yeah, Purdue as a team has done a little bit better on the offensive end than I would have expected, but it's been an absolutely perfect, I would say, for Michigan as far as stopping Carson Edwards. That was the key to this game in my mind, was stopping him, or at least containing him. Well, so far he has 9 points on 4 of 13 shooting, which is an absolutely atrocious, really. And that's what Michigan needed to win this game. And so far so good. Xavier Simpson's just been absolutely terrific guarding him. Another big thing, Carson Edwards has only attempted 3 threes. He's went 0 for 3. He's a guy who shoots 10 a game, makes at least 4 of them, and he's a guy that can make just about any three from about any distance with any level of defense on him. For him to be 0 for 3 in this first half from beyond the arc is just an absolutely incredible feat by this Michigan defense.
Michigan has limited Edwards to 9 points. He's tied for the lead in scoring. The only other Boilermaker with 9 is Ryan Klein, who is 3 for 4 from beyond the arc. And then everyone else is held to under 1 field goal worth of points. 3 or 2 points for all the other Boilermakers, and this has just been a truly remarkable performance by the Wolverines so far. I don't know what it's going to take for the Boilermakers to get back in this one. They have to limit the open looks for the Wolverines. They have to get Carson Edwards more open looks. Right now, he is the only Boilermaker. Right now, Ryan Klein is the only Boilermaker getting any open shots. This offense needs to become less one-dimensional. Really a perfect game for the Wolverines. Correction, Edwards now does have 10 points. Our stat broadcast had a minor error in the score. They fixed it. It is 28-44. 31 seconds to go in the first half of this one, which is going to end up taking only about 40 minutes of real time. A really quick game so far.
Yeah, well, it's been such a high-pass game, not a whole lot of whistles being blown here. And really, it's been a testament to how well Michigan's been playing so far here today. They've only been called for 3 fouls, which, as intense as they play on the defensive end, to only pick up 3 fouls is absolutely stellar. And not a lot of turnovers here for the Wolverines. They do have 6, which is a little bit more than usual for them, especially they only have 9 assists as well, but so far, very clean game. There's only really been a couple of travels, but the ball's been moving here a whole lot. Not a whole lot of dead balls, stoppages. It's just been an absolutely perfect game of basketball so far for the Michigan Wolverines.
A nearly flawless game, at least a nearly flawless first half. The Wolverines are going to go to halftime with Xavier Simpson inbounds it to Isaiah Livers, who has to extend to catch that one. 7 to go on the shot clock, and Livers fires from beyond the arc. That one rattles out and is going to be rebounded by Ryan Klein. 21 seconds to go. The shot clock is turned off, and I'm sure Purdue is going to slow things down here to make sure they get the last shot of the half. Trailing 16, though. And the ball is played up to Eric Hunter Jr., and he turns it over. Jordan Poole with the ball. 3 seconds to go. Xavier Simpson to the rim, and that one rattles off the backboard. That's going to end the half 44-28. Michigan can't extend their lead right before halftime, but they'll take a 16-point lead on pace for a 32-point routing. I doubt the second half is going to go that well for the Wolverines, but right now no one has played them within double digits. If this game ended right now, it would be the closest anyone has played the Wolverines 1 point. Truly remarkable what the Wolverines have put together in the first month of the college basketball season.
Absolutely, and they just keep looking better. So far, I don't know if Purdue is quite the same test that North Carolina was, but they're certainly near the same level. And for Michigan, it would be very easy for them to have a bit of a hangover after that big win against North Carolina. It was here at home, and the crowd was absolutely electric during that game. It could have very easily been. This game could have been an easy opportunity for Michigan to kind of take what they've done so far here for granted, kind of rest on their laurels just a bit, and kind of phone this one in. Well, they have not even come close to doing that. They look like every bit one of the best teams in all of college basketball here today.
Absolutely. I mean, if the season ended right now, Michigan would be in the conversation for a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. That's a bit ridiculous to talk about, though, because there are months of college basketball ahead of us, but if the Wolverines improve to 8-0 here, as it seems almost inevitable right now, they are going to have a very good chance of going into 2019 undefeated. Only a couple of real tests against Power 5 opponents remaining. They have South Carolina coming here next week, and between then and now, they play at Northwestern on Tuesday. Should they win each of those 2 games, they are almost certainly going to end up being 13-0 going into January. I mean, it's been a remarkable start for the Wolverines. Could not have started this well in Michigan's fans' wildest dreams. Maybe they could have been 7-0, but they wouldn't be 7-0 winning every game by 17 or more.
No, and with not a whole lot of turnover here for the Wolverines. And during the offseason, they had a couple of losses, one being Mo Wagner being drafted in the first round by the Los Angeles Lakers. Also lost Muhammad Ali Abdur-Rahman to graduation, but so far this year, their replacements in the starting lineup, Jordan Poole and John Teskey, have been absolutely stellar for the Wolverines. And Jordan Poole, we knew was an terrific offensive player. He was great as a spark off the bench, but right now he looks like a mainstay in the starting lineup, just a guy that's a terrific secondary playmaker, a role he's really embraced here, as well as being a threat to score every time he touches the ball, and really from all over the floor. He's got an excellent three-point shot. He can get to the rim, and just a terrific ball handler, really has a complete offensive game. And then you have John Teskey, definitely not the offensive player that Mo Wagner was. Few big men are, but what he's brought to this Michigan defense has been absolutely stellar. So far in this game, hasn't really had that many opportunities to protect the rim, but their last game against North Carolina, seemed like every single time North Carolina tried to get into the paint, get an easy basket, John Teskey was there waiting for him, making life hard. So he's just been a big reason why this Michigan defense has taken, kind of that next step, putting them up near the top of the college basketball pantheon. And so far, it's just been more of the same here against Purdue.
Michigan had a perfect start to the non-conference slate. They are right now on their way to a perfect start in the Big Ten. The crowd has really brought it too. It's been a perfect week for the Crisler Center, I'd have to say. Looks like they're well over 90% capacity right now. Only a few empty seats, and that's largely because people are going to eat at halftime right now. The crowd has really brought it. They might get complacent here in the second half because Michigan has just had such a big lead. Barring a total collapse, the Wolverines will improve to 8-0 after today, but a fantastic first half for the Wolverines. A fantastic call by you, Nate Sorensen. Really a perfect week for Michigan basketball. That should do it for us in the first half. We will be back for the second half. Lucas Vargas and Evan Osterley will have that call, and it will likely be another great half of Michigan basketball. We will see you in 12 minutes. Go do whatever you might want to do during this break and enjoy the second half of Michigan basketball.
We are back for the second half. I'm Evan Osterley alongside Lucas Vargas. A fun first half for the Wolverines. They did a great job of containing Carson Edwards, who you know well. We'll get to that in a second. But how about Jordan Poole and Ignis Brazdakis, the way they shot the ball, the way they finished at the rim, everything working for the Wolverines offensively.
Oh, man, the Wolverines really took the momentum they created for themselves on Wednesday night and have not only duplicated the performance but almost improved upon it. That shooting performance in the first half was remarkable, shooting 9 of 15 from downtown, 60%, well above their season averages. And, you know, the first couple games of the year, Michigan did not shoot the ball that well from the field or from three-point range at all. But it seems as if ever since the Villanova game, really, they've really gotten that perimeter shooting back to the levels that John Beilein would like to work with, and this team can really get to the rim as well.
Michigan 9 of 15 from behind the arc in the first half. They also had 4 offensive rebounds. This team obviously hangs their hat on their defense, but in the last few games we've seen this offense really develop as well. And how much of a factor is John Teske and his offensive rebounding?
Well, John Teske is a great guy to have on your team because he defends at such a high level inside the paint, but he also does not demand the ball on offense, and he allows the other guards around him to create for him, really going and rolling hard to the rim. He's had a couple very powerful and emphatic dunks. He doesn't need his own shot, and that's what really makes him setter. And he's going to do little things like offensive rebound the ball.
So I said it when we got on, but you have a lot of experience with Carson Edwards that goes back all the way to high school. So talk a little bit about what you know about Edwards and how the Wolverines were able to slow him down. Edwards just 10 points on 4 of 13 from the field, 0 of 3 from behind the arc in the first half.
Yeah, Edwards, I mean, just a remarkable talent, and the preseason Big Ten Player of the Year listed as a preseason first-team All-American, potential National Player of the Year candidate here in his junior season. He's been a starter ever since he stepped on campus in West Lafayette, but I have seen him ever since his days at Atascocita High School, and there he was an unbelievable player. Led his team all years that he was there for the Eagles, but his senior year, I mean, that was when it really all came together for him. He was a guy that on the scouting report literally said in range as soon as he crossed half court, you had to have a hand up, and then if you got up on him, he was so fast that he could get by anybody. I mean, we've seen that a couple of times, Edwards get to the rim. He's fast, he's powerful, he can shoot the ball. He hasn't done it particularly well today, but he's had 17 straight games with a 3 coming in, so I expect him to get one here in the second half. This is a guy that can really score from anywhere on the floor. He isn't probably the best point guard just because of the fact that he is looking to score more, but Purdue put him in that role. I mean, this is a guy that has also won a lot of games, too, in high school. His senior season, the only loss he took was in the state championship game, which is really an unfortunate place to lose, but it's a guy that is going to have a lot on his shoulders here for Purdue this season, especially with Big Ten play starting now, a team that lost quite a lot from last season, and he has really been put in the driver's seat for this Boilermakers team.
This individual battle of Xavier Simpson defensively against Carson Edwards offensively may be as good as it gets in all of college basketball for Xavier Simpson, who's arguably the top defensive point guard in the country. Carson Edwards, arguably the top scoring guard in the country. And I think it's fair to say that Xavier Simpson got the better of that in the first half. Edwards does have 10 points, but just 4 of 13 from the field. And like you said, anywhere inside half court, really, Edwards is willing to shoot the ball. Most of his points came when he got a switch or when Jordan Poole covered him, but how is Xavier Simpson against Carson Edwards and just in general so effective defensively?
Well, first, I think it's worth putting this scenario into perspective here. So Carson Edwards currently averages 25 points a game and 4 assists coming in, and let's just talk about the only other players recently that have even been at those averages: Trae Young, Jimmer Fredette, Steph Curry, and Allen Iverson. So Xavier Simpson has had his hands full and has more than stepped up to the task, bothering Edwards anywhere and everywhere on the court this afternoon. Edwards not having anything easy, and I think he's getting frustrated too. He's really starting to force shots that he probably wouldn't take otherwise, and even around the rim, he's not finishing at the rate that he usually does, contributing to that abysmal 4 of 13 shooting performance in the first half.
We are about 2 minutes away from the start of this second half. So how does Purdue get back into the game, and how does Michigan keep the momentum going?
Purdue's got to find a way to contest outside shots, and I think they need to slow the game down. I think that Michigan goes on some of these runs using their athleticism, and as North Carolina saw on Wednesday, once you let Michigan get the crowd behind them, especially here at Crisler, you're just not going to have much success. Purdue's really got to find a way to slow this game down a little bit to make it more of a methodical half-court game. Maybe let some of the old Michigan poor shooting from the beginning of the year show to make them take contested outside shots. Purdue needs to really find a way to execute in the half court. I think they need to get some more ball movement too. I mean, we talked about kind of the lack of assists for this Boilermakers ball club. They need to find a way to get good looks off passes.
That was one of the big things in the first half, was so many of the Wolverines' threes were uncontested, and they kept on hitting them. Michigan 53% from the field in that first half, 60% from behind the arc. Purdue 11 of 31 from the field, 35%, 4 of 12 from behind the arc, hitting just a third of their three-pointers. No real foul trouble for either team. Purdue just 4 total, no player with more than 1. Michigan 3 total, no player with more than 1. So we'll expect to see the same starters here to start the second half. If you're Matt Painter and you know that Carson Edwards is really your only source of offense besides maybe some Ryan Klein spot-up threes, Klein was 3 of 4 for the first half, all behind the arc for 9 points. How do you try to create for Carson Edwards when he's being guarded by a player like Simpson?
Well, first of all, you got to space Ryan Klein in a position where he's a threat, and that would be in one of the corners. And then I think a good way to do it could be with maybe instead of having Nogel Eaton for Edwards, and maybe try and force a switch, get Jordan Poole onto Edwards, get that guard-to-guard switch. Jordan Poole's been guarding Eastern for most of this game, so that would allow maybe Edwards to get that one-on-one matchup that would be more favorable for him. Then also going to the rim, if he's able to attract that corner help, having Ryan Klein as an option in the corner, that would be a good way to get some more good looks for this Purdue team.
Starters back for the Boilermakers: Grady Eifert, Matt Harms, Carson Edwards, Ryan Klein, Nogel Eastern. Expecting the same starters for the Wolverines: Xavier Simpson, Jordan Poole, Charles Matthews, Ignas Brazdakis, and John Teskey, as we are just about ready for tip-off here in the second half.
We'll see. I think Purdue had a little bit more success when they had both Ryan Klein and Evan Boudreau in off the bench, the Dartmouth transfer. Think that they'd be more beneficial for Purdue to go with a little bit smaller. I mean, I know they have Matt Harms and Grady Eifert they usually use quite a bit, but I'm not sure if this is quite the best game for Grady Eifert to be playing. I don't know if he matches up that well with a lot of the athletes that Michigan poses on the field. Obviously, you got to have Matt Harms out there to deal with Teskey.
Getting ready to start out this second half. Michigan leads 44-28 as we get going in Crisler. And a quick pass to Harms down low. He went for the dunk. Could not finish, but Matthews still he'll shoot 2.
Well, that's one way to get a good offensive look out of the gate. A roll by Matt Harms. Nobody stays with him. They're so worried about Edwards coming off the ball screen to shoot. And now Matt Harms, it's going to be up to him to make these free throws to start Purdue off on a good foot.
Couple quick passes for Purdue on that possession led to the Harms dunk attempt. He'll shoot 2 free throws now. First free throw, no good. Rattled in and out. That was Matthews' first foul, so still no foul trouble for either teams. Harms getting ready to shoot his second. That one is no good as well. Ball tipped up in the air, and Jordan Poole comes up with it, so back the other way now for the Wolverines.
Let's see what Michigan comes out with to start. They've had a lot of success cutting to the basket as well to draw and help defense.
Simpson working against Eastern, swings it to Brazdakis in the corner, up top to Teskey, now to Matthews on the wing. Jordan Poole now gets the matchup with Harms. Poole thought about shooting, did not. Now he steps back, pass down low to Simpson, who's wide open for the easy finish underneath. Michigan leads by 18.
Michigan, so many dribble creators like Jordan Poole, demanding extra attention, drawing the eyes of the defense, and Xavier Simpson able to slip to the basket.
Edwards now working against Simpson. Gets a screen, gets into the lane. A little floater is up and no good. Teskey came down with the rebound, but it was stripped away by Eifert, who threw it off Matthews, and it'll stay with Purdue.
It's a pretty good look for Carson Edwards there, just about a foot inside the free throw line. Really good at getting to his spots, but still unable to convert. Still think he's a little frustrated from the first half.
Xavier Simpson doing a great job of staying with him even through screens. John Teskey enough to contest Edwards' shot there just by being 7'1" and having that huge wingspan.
But good effort by Purdue to get it off of a Michigan foot, so to retain possession on this end.
Klein will inbound for the Boilermakers, inbounds it to Harms. He hands off to Edwards. Edwards puts up a three-pointer, and Carson Edwards' first three-pointer of the game cuts the lead to 15. Edwards.
Yeah, absolutely fearless player shooting over Ignis Brasdeikis. He's going to try and get himself going in any way he can. That's his 18th straight game with a three-point basket.
Simpson now setting up the offense. Gives to Matthews. Matthews up top to Teskey. Now Brasdeikis. Looking for somewhere to go. John Teskey will put up a three-pointer. Teskey's three-pointer is good. John Teskey adding to the three-point party for the Wolverines.
Well, it's one of those days for Michigan right now. John Teskey's hitting threes. He is capable, but you know it's really falling for Michigan right now.
Edwards, a long three-pointer. That one no good. Eifert corrals the rebound. He'll set it up with Klein. And now Eastern drives in, but had it stripped by Brasdeikis. He gets it back. Gives to Harms on the outside. Both centers putting up threes. Both centers hitting threes as Matt Harms now hits one. Back down to 15. Michigan leads 49-34.
Pair of 7-footers facing the floor for each team. Very rare.
And I think it's just what you said. If Teskey's going to hit a three-pointer, that's something that you just have to live with as a defense. That's not something that you can defend with the rest of the playmakers Michigan has.
I mean, Michigan's going to give that up to Harms either way, too.
Teskey gets it down low from Simpson and finishes with the slam. John Teskey now has 10 points on the game. He's been great for the Wolverines on both ends.
And Purdue, a lot of switching. Edwards got switched on to
into the lane, a little floater from him over Teskey. That's good. 51-36 now, under 17 and a half to go in the second half.
A really nice curl off the screen by Ryan Klein, and very feared three-point shooter takes it in and gets a little floater. Rare two for Ryan Klein.
Brasdeikis working against Edwards, gets the ball down low, kicks out. Teskey thought about another three, but he will give it to Poole, who set up the offense on the elbow. Poole working against Eifert. Drives the baseline. Poole, a reverse layup, and what a finish from Jordan Poole. He has been excellent today.
And Eifert, the former walk-on for Purdue, just not enough athleticism to deal with the dribble drive abilities of Jordan Poole. Excellent finish around the rim.
Poole 15 points, 6 of 7 inside, 3 of 3 from behind the arc. Klein gives to Edwards now. Edwards drives against Simpson. Edwards up to the rim, and the left-handed finish for Purdue's star. Back down to 15, 16:38 to go.
Now Edwards starting to kind of get back into his rhythm a little bit, seeing the ball go through the net a couple times and see if that heats him up.
Poole working against Edwards now on the other end. Hands it off to Brasdeikis. He'll give to Simpson. Matthews wanted it down low, did not get it. Simpson gets a screen from Teskey. Now hands off to Brasdeikis, who drives. He goes up, and it's swatted away by Matt Harms out of bounds. It'll stay with the Wolverines. 10 seconds on the shot clock, but what a block by Matt Harms.
Yeah, Matt Harms, a very feared blocker. He had 79 blocks a season ago as a freshman. 4 games in his career, short career, with 5 or more blocks in a game. So he's on his way to 100 career blocks very early into his Purdue career.
And a bunch of changes here by Purdue. Eric Hunter Jr. into the game. Sasha Stefanovic into the game as well. Poole now the three-pointer. That is good. Once again, Jordan Poole, 4-4 from behind the arc. He's got 18 for the Wolverines.
Yeah, Michigan stays hot. Doesn't show any signs of cooling down at all. 56-38. Michigan leads with 15:57 here in the second half.
Edwards hands off to Klein. Gives to Brodrew. Now Edwards in the lane. Another tough finish at the rim. Carson Edwards once again. He has been excellent here to start this second half, and almost impossible to stop when he drives.
Yeah, I mean, he has 17 points now, but that one's just the best you can do.
And now Xavier Simpson does his best Carson Edwards impression, gets to the basket quickly. On the other end, 58-40 now. Michigan leads as we close in on the 15-minute mark of this second half.
Yeah, Purdue trying to extend the defense up the half court a little bit, but not having any success. Slowing down dribble drive into an easy layup.
Brodrew to Klein. Klein back to Brodrew. Thought about putting up a three, didn't want to shoot over Teskey. Teskey, great play defensively to block the ball out of bounds off Brodrew, and it'll stay with the Wolverines after the under-16 media timeout. Michigan 58, Purdue has 40, 15-16 to go in the half.
And, I mean, we alluded to some of the strengths that John Teskey brings to this Michigan team on offense, but How about defensively? I mean, he brings logic to defense in that he's so tall and strong, and he knows it. He just puts his arms straight up. So many bigs, especially in college, always feel the need to swat down, and that's what gets the foul call. John Teske does a great job contesting shots with his size without committing silly fouls.
Intensity-wise, how does this Michigan defense continue to just play with the ferocity, the individual play, the team play? It seems like no matter who the opponent is, no matter what point in the game, what the score is, they always play defense the same way. How do you get a team to do that?
I think it's really comes down to what intrinsically motivates you as an individual player, and what's unique about this Michigan team, and especially the starting lineup, is that probably Xavier Simpson, Charles Matthews, and John Teske are all three guys that at some point in their career, whether it's now or at least it was in the past, were relied upon solely as defensive players. So that meant that at practice, in games, they knew that the only way that they were going to get to play was if they defended at a high level, an elite level. And they are continuing to do so here this season for Michigan. They are driven by defense. Xavier Simpson does not worry about his scoring. Charles Matthews guards the other team's best scorer other than the point guard. And John Teske knows he's not the go-to scorer at all for Michigan. He's going to rely on his defensive intensity, and that is what makes a difference for this Michigan ball club.
They've got the T-shirt cannon rolling down on the court. They almost got it up to where we are, just barely short of our table up here in Crisler, but the crowd loves the T-shirt cannon here and at every single game. Some quick stats. Jordan Poole said his name a lot today. 18 points, 7 of 8 from the field, 4 of 4 from behind the arc. He also has 5 rebounds. Great performance from him. Xavier Simpson, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Brazdakis has 10 points, Teske 10 as well. For Purdue, Carson Edwards, 17 points, just 1 of 5 from behind the arc. He's had a tough day shooting, but he's found ways to score here early in the second half from inside the arc. And then 11 points for Ryan Klein, who's 4 of 5 from the field.
I think another interesting talking point when you talk about, we're playing a conference game on December 1st with the Big Ten's expansion to a 20-game conference schedule is that some teams just aren't ready for a conference game this early in the year. I mean, it's just a natural development of some teams does not lend themselves to that kind of early season intensity, and Purdue might not be at that point with all the losses they had, especially key losses they had from last season. But Michigan, on the other hand, really shown through the early tests they've had that they are ready to match the intensity necessary for a conference game. And that could really play an impact in the standings later in the year, these 2 games that each Big Ten team will play before the new year.
Michigan, in one of their 2 games last year, a huge loss to Ohio State on the road, which they led by 15 at halftime before ultimately blowing that game in Columbus. Much different feel here as they open Big Ten play with an 18-point lead against Purdue with 15 minutes, 11 seconds to go. How do you see this Purdue team factoring into Big Ten play? They lost a lot, obviously. Vince Edwards, Isaac Haas. Can Carson Edwards carry this team to the NCAA tournament, or does he just lack the firepower around him?
I think they can be an NCAA tournament team, but it's going to be as like a 9 or a 10 seed. One of those
bubble teams.
Those kind of bubble teams that gets in. I see them kind of as a mid-tier Big Ten team this year, but I mean they have a couple guys that can make them just good enough.
Isaiah Livers into the game for the Wolverines. Simpson feeds down low to Matthews, could not catch it. Carson Edwards quickly back the other way. Edwards into Jordan Poole, and they're going to call a charge on Carson Edwards. Poole took that charge, a hard hit from Edwards, but back the other way for the Wolverines.
Yeah, Jordan Poole doing a nice job not falling for the hesitation dribble that Edwards has in his arsenal. So fast, but Poole able to be there defensively, and that just shows, once again, the continued belief in defense as the firepower for this team.
Some full court pressure from the Boilermakers. We saw this briefly in the first half, but Hunter Jr. picked up Simpson all the way down at the baseline. Simpson easily gets it across half court. He's working against Edwards. Simpson drives to the basket. Another left-handed finish, and the foul. Xavier Simpson. He's been phenomenal at the rim today. Not the best shooter, but he can definitely finish layups.
Yeah, so good at finishing, especially with those left and right-handed hook shots. Always driving, usually against bigger defenders, but finding a way to get the ball up and over with enough touch. This time for the finish, too, and 1.
A little hesitation move, and then he blew right by Stefanovic Now Simpson will shoot the free throw, trying to complete the ad one. Michigan's lead at 20 for the first time today. Simpson's free throw no good, so 60-40 Wolverines back the other way. Under 14 and a half to go now. Hunter Jr. will set up the offense. Stefanovic comes and gets it, working against Livers. He finds Boudreau up top. Now Klein, trying to get the ball to Carson Edwards. Edwards finally does get it. 10 on the shot clock now, working against Simpson. Edwards drives in and up, and they're going to call a foul on Simpson on the floor. He missed the layup, but it won't matter. It'll stay with Purdue. They'll get it underneath.
Yeah, Edwards, I mean, he's going to get his looks at the rim, and probably better to just foul him on the floor rather than in the act of shooting. Allow Michigan to once again play half-court defense.
So Klein to inbound the ball for Purdue once again. Edwards wants it, but they can't get it to him, so Boudreau will take it. Now Hunter Jr. setting up the offense once again. Driving against Poole. Has to step back. Now Klein gets it. Carson Edwards has the matchup with Livers that he wants. Edwards, good pass to Boudreau. Boudreau up for three, no good. Teskey battling for the rebound, and he comes down with it. Here comes Xavier Simpson back the other way now. Simpson setting up the offense, gets a screen from Teskey. Swings to Poole. Poole thought about shooting, will not. Teskey calling for it underneath. He's got Carson Edwards on him. There's about a 9-inch height difference there. Simpson with the drive over Boudreau. Can't get that hook shot to go. And out of bounds off Boudreau, so it'll stay with the Wolverines.
And Purdue right now with a lot of inexperience on the floor, especially now it looks like they're subbing out Carson Edwards. So that leaves them with three freshmen on the court, a junior transfer, and Ryan Klein. So real prime opportunity for Michigan to extend this 20-point lead 60-40 right now with 13:29 left in the second half.
Inbound to Matthews. A quick jumper is no good. Rebound by Wheeler. Here comes Hunter. Working against Simpson. Quick turnaround shot for Stefanovic off the pass, no good. Good rebound by John Teskey, and here comes Jordan Poole in transition. Poole gets into the lane. Now he's going to backtrack and set up the offense. Poole. And I
called for a carry.
Just let the ball come underneath, or his hand go underneath the ball. So it'll be Purdue ball back the other way. But like you said, Carson Edwards out of the game. This is Michigan's chance to really put this game away.
It's completely away, yeah. I mean, Ryan Klein really the only guy with returning experience that played last year for Purdue. So
Hunter gives to Stefanovic, back to Hunter now. Wheeler has it, working against Isaiah Livers. Gives to Klein against Matthews. Klein up top to Wheeler. Wheeler working against Isaiah Livers. Now it's Boudreau. Boudreau down to the rim, up, and no good. Great defense from Isaiah Livers. No foul call there. Here comes Simpson. Simpson gets the screen from Teskey. Lost it briefly. Now kicks to Matthews in the corner. And he traveled before he dribbled.
It's a tough call. Matthews looked like he caught it ready to shoot, but that extra step is going to get him with the travel.
So Purdue ball back the other way. They are just holding on right now to this 20-point deficit with Carson Edwards out of the game. Here's Hunter working against Poole. Step back three-pointer, no good. Simpson gets the rebound. That's his fifth of the game.
Purdue continues to try isolation offense, not going to have any success against Michigan. Too good of individual one-on-one defenders to try that.
We've gone nearly 2.5 minutes scoreless for both teams. Purdue missed their last 5 field goals. Poole working against Boudreau, gets it to Teskey, who tried to throw it back out to Simpson. He was basically triple teamed down low, but knocked it out of bounds. So we'll hit the under 12 media timeout. Michigan 60, Purdue 40, 11:56 to go in this half. Michigan has turned the ball over 4 times in the last 3 minutes 40 seconds. Done defensively to confuse the Wolverines.
Well, I think Michigan's just stopped driving to the basket. They're starting to take a couple ill-advised shots here, a lot of contested looks too. When right now Purdue has an inexperienced lineup in there where they should be really going hard to the rim and trying to use their athleticism and experience to their advantage.
Jordan Poole, 18 points. He hasn't shot the ball in the last few minutes. Neither team has scored in the last 2.5 minutes. Purdue hasn't scored in nearly 4. Purdue just missing shots. Michigan turning the ball over. Carson Edwards isn't out there for Purdue. Brazdakis not out there for the Wolverines. but Michigan still hanging on to a 20-point lead. They seem to be in control. If you're John Beilein, what's your strategy? Are you going to put pressure? Are you going to run fast breaks and try to keep building the lead, or try to run this clock down and get Purdue to just basically concede?
At the point right now, there's 12 minutes left in this game, about 11:56. I mean, you got to keep playing this game out, and Michigan should have no reason to slow down. They've completely dominated this game from the start to the current point. They got to keep their foot on the gas. They got to keep running and gunning and defending at the high level they are right now. Show their dominance early on. This is a top 25 game right now still, and Michigan has the chance to really continue to show early on how good and competitive they are.
Some updates from around the country. Number 1 Gonzaga trailed Creighton at halftime 48-41, but they came away with a 103-92 win. Number 12 Kansas State down 14 to Marquette with just 43 seconds left. They will fall there. Villanova up by just 4 against LaSalle with 4:23 to go. They've had a definite tough start to the season. Indiana defeated Northwestern 68-66 in a thriller earlier today. The other Big Ten game of today, Maryland against Penn State. That one tips off in just a few minutes at 5 p.m. In the college football world, last night, obviously, Washington beating Utah in a defensive thriller in the Pac-12 Championship 10-3. Washington heading to the Rose Bowl. Oklahoma beat your Texas Longhorns earlier this afternoon, 39-27. Tough game for Texas.
First Red River rivalry rematch in 115 years during the same season. How about that?
Oklahoma making their final statement for a potential playoff bid. Obviously, Ohio State plays Northwestern tonight in the Big Ten Championship. Memphis 31-14 against Central Florida. Central Florida looking like they're not going to be able to win the game without Mackenzie Milton. The offense just doesn't have the firepower, and they cannot get a stop against Memphis. 0 stops so far.
Darrell Henderson in that game, worth mentioning. The walking first down.
Darrell Henderson, 6 carries for 166, 3 touchdowns for the Tigers. And down in Atlanta, Georgia scoring first, 7-0. They lead number 1 Alabama late in the first quarter.
Yeah, UCF, that Mackenzie Milton injury, that's tough to overcome, especially this late in the year. And they look promising, as if they could maybe go to two back-to-back, New Year's Six Bowl. We'll have to wait and see.
Spike Albrecht in the house for the Wolverines, the former backup point guard who had 17 points in the first half of the 2013 National Championship, just got a cheer.
Grad transfer to Purdue as well.
He did that 1 year. He did finish his career at Purdue, so Brasdake is back into the game. Eli Brooks into the game for Xavier Simpson. Teskey heads to the bench. Purdue setting up their offense now. Boudreaux hands off to Stefanovic. Stefanovic lobs it to Boudreaux. Tried to tip it in, just a little too high for him. Matthews comes up with it. Brooks quickly back the other way.
Yeah, Edwards still out of the game, and Michigan going with the small ball 5, Isaiah Livers. A little bit of athleticism here for the Michigan, even more so.
Brooks to Brasdakis. Brasdakis for 3, no good. Wheeler comes up with the rebound. And you have to imagine that Matt Painter can't hold Carson Edwards on the bench too much longer.
Imagine this would probably be his last substantial rest, unless this game really gets out of hand.
And no good on the layup by Hunter, but Wheeler with the putback dunk cuts the lead to 18. Good finish from Wheeler at the rim.
Yeah, the redshirt freshman, long and athletic, able to get the putback finish.
Brasdakis gives to Matthews. Now Isaiah Livers with it. Excuse me, that's Jordan Poole. And Poole drove against Hunter but got fouled. He grabbed him as he stepped back. Poole's so good with the ball, and those step backs and those dribble hesitations and pump fakes makes him so hard to defend.
And going against another Purdue freshman, Eric Hunter Jr., trying to guard him, just not quite the experience necessary at this point in his career.
Michigan 60, Purdue 42, 10:51 to go in the second half. Eli Brooks gets a screen from Livers, driving to the basket, kicks it out to Matthews. Now 10 on the shot clock. Matthews in the corner. Not much going for the Wolverines offensively now. 5 on the shot clock. Matthews into the lane. Turnaround jumper up and no good off the back rim. Wheeler again with the rebound for the Boilermakers, and here comes Hunter Jr.
Well, Purdue's getting stops. Now they got to get scores if they want to get back into this game.
Hunter drives. Brasdakis with the good defense. Matthews corrals the rebound, and a good defensive possession from the Wolverines. Matthews gives to Brooks now, who will set up the offense. Closing in on the 10-minute mark of the second half. Wolverines still in control of the game. They lead by 18. Eli Brooks gets a screen from Livers. Working against Harms now. Brooks to Poole, back to Brooks. Now Brooks for three. No good. That one was short. Harms with the rebound. And here comes Klein.
Tough shot over long Matt Harms as well.
Klein working against Brooks. Klein drives in. Up and the little hook finish at the rim. That's good. So Purdue cuts the lead down to 16.
Another very rare drive from Ryan Klein, but a very smooth finish around the rim.
Michigan hasn't scored in 5 minutes now. 5-minute scoring drought for the Wolverines. 15 on the shot clock now as Charles Matthews gives it up top to Livers. Purdue settling in defensively. Livers with the drive to the basket. He's fouled on the way by Wheeler, so he'll shoot two.
And Michigan not quite getting those same cuts to the rim they had been getting previous to the scoring drought. Xavier Simpson is about to check in, as is Nogel Eastern for Purdue. See how that impacts the game going forward here. 60-44 with 9:22 left in the second half.
And here comes Carson Edwards as well for the Boilermakers. And surprising that Purdue was able to dig into this lead a little bit. They held Michigan scoreless for 5 minutes. Carson Edwards out of the game for about 3.5 of those minutes. And that's huge for Purdue.
For Purdue, this is a team that came in this game averaging 83.4 points per game. Right now they're at 44. So Michigan's still doing a phenomenal job defensively. On the other hand, Purdue only allows 67 points per game. Michigan already was 61.
And Michigan leading by 17 after Livers hits the first free throw. Teske back into the game as well. So it'll be 3 guards. The 3-point guard lineup, kind of. Jordan Poole, more of a combo guard, but Simpson, Brooks, Poole, and then Livers and Teske in the front court. Here comes Eastern for Purdue. The lead is 18 as we close on the 9-minute mark now. Stefanovic hands to Edwards. Edwards against Simpson. He'll swing it over to Eastern. Eastern thought about shooting, did not. Harms will take a quick three-pointer. No good on that. Eastern grabs the rebound. Stefanovic puts up a quick three now. That one is good for Purdue. All of a sudden lead down to 15 for the Wolverines.
Yeah, the Serbian gets the kickback look. Matt Harms not shy at all about shooting these threes.
Simpson hands off to Livers. Up top to Teske. Now it's Jordan Poole working against Edwards. Eli Brooks has it. Now to Teske up top. Fake the handoff to Poole. Fake the handoff to Livers. Now Livers does come back and get it. Livers puts up the three. No good. It'll bounce up and out of bounds. So 8:34 to go. Purdue all of a sudden down 15.
Yeah, Michigan really slowed down their shooting lately, and they continue to try and shoot over Matt Harms from deep, which doesn't seem like a good idea considering that he's about 7'1" with very, very long arms.
Here comes the crowd trying to get these Wolverines to the finish line. Michigan, a 6-minute field goal drought. They haven't made a shot in nearly 6 minutes. 0 for the last 6. Little floater up and no good. It'll be back the other way as Harms knocked it out of bounds.
Edwards sets up Stefanovic with a very nice curl and an elbow jumper. He's unable to put it through, though, and Purdue continues to trail by 15. As Eastern will apply some full court pressure.
Simpson gets it across half court. Michigan's still struggling offensively. Both teams have started to struggle. Purdue just 2 of their last 11. Michigan 0 for their last 6. Up top, here's Xavier Simpson working against Eastern. Simpson gets a screen from Teske. Simpson drives in, swings it all the way across, delivers. Poole, a double dribble there as he started to shoot, dribbled the ball, and then tried to go back up. So Purdue ball out of the under 8 timeout, 62-47. Michigan leads, 7:49 to go, but Michigan really struggling on the offensive end. They've gone nearly 7 minutes without making a bucket.
Yeah, Purdue has really kind of settled back into their usual defensive selves, but they're also doing a much nicer job getting back in transition defense and not over-helping either. Michigan having far fewer open looks this half relative to the first half. Purdue doing a really much nicer job of holding to their defensive principles.
Michigan, Jordan Poole still 7 of 8 from the field. Xavier Simpson just 5 of 11. Those shooting percentages have come down to just 50 and 40% from the field and from 3 respectively. This half, Purdue defensively really settling in. Carson Edwards went to the bench for a few minutes and they actually made up a few points on the lead, and we thought that it was Michigan's chance to put the game away. Clearly not. for Purdue, how do you stay in this game? You need to make shots, but you have to stick defensively to what you're doing. You've got to hold Michigan probably to 4 or 5 points for really the rest of the game if you want to have a chance the way Michigan plays defense. So how can you maintain that offensive pace, offensive intensity, but also still stay strong on the defensive end?
Well, I mean, the keys to not getting beat in transition, Gash, there, you got to defend in the half court where Purdue is most successful defensively, and that just involves no live ball turnovers and really crashing the offensive glass with 2 or 3 guys every possession that you miss a shot, because that'll jam some of the defensive rebounds, not allow them to outlet the ball and get up the floor quite as fast. So Purdue's got to do a solid job of those things. Additionally, they're going to have to really execute offensively and shoot a high percentage from here on out. And our fun fact of the game goes to Evan Boudreau, who his family owns a ranch in Montana where they hunt for dinosaur fossils. So congratulations to Evan Boudreau for the fun fact of the game from WCBN Sports.
Lucas, break that down for us. His family's got a ranch in Montana. They hunt for dinosaur fossils. Do you think that factored into his development as a basketball player?
Yeah, you know, it might. He's looking for. He's got to find some good looks. You know, where can you dig and find your open shots, right? Where's the open ground?
Of course. Great fun fact there for the grad transfer, Evan, who shares the first name with me, Boudreau. So Michigan getting ready. They'll try to hold on here. It seemed like the way the game was going at halftime that by this time we might start to see some of the young freshmen get into the game. Brandon Johns, Adrian Nunez, Colin Castleton. But Michigan will have to keep the starters in at least for the next few minutes as they try to put this game away. It'll be Purdue basketball down by 15, 7:49 to go.
Another interesting thing about Michigan is how much more successful they've been with Ignas Brazdeikis on the floor this season. Saw something this morning that coming into this game, Michigan averages 40% from 3, 54% from 2, as well as 1.17 points per possession with Brazdeikis on the floor.
Brazdeikis, the freshman, Lithuanian freshman from Canada, has made a huge impact. He's the number 40 overall recruit. Probably would have been much higher had he played college or high school basketball rather in the United States. But huge for the Wolverines. The way as Carson Edwards turns the ball over. Great play by John Teske to snatch it away. Back the other way now for the Wolverines comes Jordan Poole.
So I think Purdue they cannot have empty trips. They need to at least get some sort of shot, give themselves a chance at an offensive rebound if they miss.
Matthews working up top against Stefanovic. Gives to Simpson. He's working against Wheeler. Simpson down low to Teske. Couldn't corral it. Teske dives on the ground and comes up with it. Brazdeikis kicks back out to Simpson for 3. No good. Xavier Simpson 0-3 from behind the arc today. Edwards quickly back the other way to Wheeler. Wheeler puts up a 3-pointer, and that is good. And Purdue cuts the lead to 12. It's 62-50 now. Still 6 minutes 50 seconds to go. Here comes the crowd once again to try to get this Wolverines team back into it, but Purdue starting to get within striking range here.
This is a Michigan offense that has gone completely just empty from the floor right now. They need some sort of life breathed back into them.
Purdue on a 6-0 run. Michigan's missed their last 7 field goals. Simpson drives to the basket. Kind of lost it out of bounds, but it was blocked by Stefanovic.
Now Ryan Klein re-enters the game for Purdue, adding that deadly shooter for the Boilermakers.
Michigan has missed their last 8 field goals now. It'll stay with the Wolverines. It was blocked out of bounds. Here's Jordan Poole now, under 10 on the shot clock. Gives to Teske, and he is fouled on the way.
Yeah, John Teske and Michigan really need some points at the current moment, and free throw line has probably been the area of weakness for Michigan this season. So this is going to be a real crucial possession here for Teske.
Teske at the line for 2. Current lineup for the Wolverines: Xavier Simpson, Jordan Poole, Teske, Brazdeikis, and Matthews. Teske does make the first, pushes the lead back to 13 with 6:26 to go. Meanwhile, for the Boilermakers, they've got Carson Edwards, Wheeler, Klein, Harms, and Eastern. Teske's second free throw also good. John Teske, 3 of 4 at the line today. The team overall 5 of 7. Free throw shooting was a problem on Wednesday night against North Carolina. Not so much tonight. Edwards working against a double team from Simpson and Teskey to the corner for Wheeler. Up top to Edwards. Edwards puts up a three-pointer over Simpson. Tough contested shot, no good. Matthews with the rebound.
Yeah, Xavier Simpson doing what he's been doing all afternoon. That's slow Carson Edwards down to the best of his ability. Edwards at 17 points is still below his season average with 6 minutes to go here in the ballgame.
Xavier Simpson working against Edwards. Simpson driving in, now kicks back out to Teskey for 3. John Teskey hits! John Teskey, his second three-pointer of the game, extends the lead back to 17, and the Wolverines feeling just a little bit better now with 5:45 to go.
The Big John, no fear. 7-foot, pull the trigger, and answers.
They're going to say it was a jump ball between him and Wheeler.
And Ignis pulling the rather at 5:28 left in the ball game. Michigan 67, Purdue 50.
Simpson bringing the ball up against more full court pressure from Eastern. This game's starting to slip away from Purdue as Simpson drives to the basket, kicks back out to Teskey. Thought about a three, Poole wide open, steps back, fires. That is good. Jordan Poole, his 5th three of the game. The lead is 20 once again, 70-50 Michigan. About to hit the 5-minute mark. Stefanovic is going to check back in for Purdue. Carson Edwards, hands to Klein. This one really slipping away from Purdue now. Matt Harms gives to Eastern, tipped by Matthews, but Harms gets it back. Edwards, doubled by Poole and Teskey. Great defense there from Poole. Klein, shot clock under 10. Klein, a fadeaway three-pointer, no good. Edwards tried the putback dunk, could not. Teskey now to Simpson, and Michigan will slow down here as they've got a 20-point lead with just 4.5 to go in this game.
And Michigan can really start to suck the shot clock as best they can here with about 4:30 to go. The ball in Jordan Poole's hands.
Matthews, three-pointer from the corner. That one is short. Michigan currently on an 8-0 run. Edwards quickly back the other way. Drives in, up over Poole. Goes to the ground, fouled, but he will shoot 2. 4:16 to go. Michigan in control.
Carson Edwards is a blur going down the court. He caught that rebound at the Michigan baseline on the opposite end, and he almost beat every other player down the court to get fouled and find himself at the free throw line. He's going to have chances to score with the clock stopped.
Edwards, that free throw is good. So Travion Williams checking in for Purdue, freshman, 6'9" freshman from Chicago.
It's like a big body to deal with Teskey. A guy that has not played a lot this year.
Edwards' second free throw also good. Carson Edwards will head to the bench. That might signal Matt Painter throwing in the towel a little bit here. Stefanovic coming back into the game. Michigan leads 70-52, 4:16 to go. Carson Edwards on the bench takes Purdue's best player out of the game.
Going to give him an extended rest here with a couple seconds until 4 minutes, and then the media timeout that will follow.
Simpson going to dribble this shot clock probably all the way down. Eastern trying to pressure him a little bit. Xavier Simpson brings the shot clock down to 10. Now he drives in. Tough finish at the rim there. And Simpson gets back to Williams. Xavier Simpson, Matthews wide open for 3. No good, but Teskey grabs it and slipped out of his hand. So Klein comes up with it. 3:40 to go now. Purdue still down by 18 as we close in on the 3.5 mark. Eastern hands to Stefanovic, hands to Klein. Klein over to Wheeler on the wing. Now Williams has it. And it looks like there was maybe a foul on the floor somewhere.
That'll bring up the media timeout. I expect Carson Edwards to check back in following this break for just one last gasp of effort. With 3:27 remaining in the ballgame, Michigan leading 70-52.
Jordan Poole with the off-ball foul there. So as you said, 3:27 to go. Michigan leads 70-52. Michigan was on an 8-0 run until those last 2 points from the Boilermakers, and Michigan defensively has been just absolutely phenomenal against a Purdue team that came in. They had lost 2 out of 3, but they were still scoring points in some tough games against ACC teams. They scored 72 points in a 1-point loss to Florida State this week, and the previous week they scored 83 points in a 6-point loss to Virginia Tech. How is Michigan held Purdue to just 50 points with 3.5 to go?
Well, they do not have the athleticism necessary to go against these superb individual Michigan defenders. I mean, Carson Edwards obviously is going to get his one way or another, but guys like Ryan Klein and Evan Boudreau do not have the ability to really create their own shot at the same level that Edwards does. Nigel Eastern is not much of an offensive threat in the sense of creating his own shot either. Grady Eifert isn't going to do much of that. Matt Harms, he'll catch an occasional lob or maybe a pick and pop shot, but really just not much shot creation from the primary Purdue players. And I mean, Michigan is so good at containing dribble drive, and if you're going to eliminate that from your offensive arsenal, then Michigan can play the catch and shoot.
Carson Edwards, 17 points, 7 of 21 from the field, 1 of 5 from behind the arc. He also has 6 rebounds and 3 assists, but still well below his season average of 25, and he hasn't really been efficient in getting to those 17 either. Jordan Poole for the Wolverines, just a phenomenal game, 21 points, 8 of 9 from the field. He's hit all 5 of his three-pointers, also has 5 rebounds. Charles Matthews, 9 points on just 3 of 11 shooting, but he does have 4 rebounds and 4 assists. Simpson, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Brazdakis, 10 points. John Teskey, 15 points and 8 boards. It's really been a team effort, as it always is for the Wolverines, but Poole and Teskey leading the way just a little bit for Michigan. Purdue has missed their last 4 field goals. Michigan has 2 of their last 13, but holding Purdue without scoring from the field for the last 3.5 minutes. Purdue just 36% from the field, 36% from behind the arc.
And Purdue, this is a team that their last 7 losses are by a combined 22 points. I mean, this is a team that has not lost a lot of games by large margins like this lately, and Michigan, up 18 right now, has a chance to almost double that combined margin of defeat. Last 7 regular season losses, that is, by combined 22 points.
I was going to say Michigan blew them out in the Big Ten tournament last year, but that makes sense.
We'll put the asterisk on there.
Yeah. So Michigan keeping the starters out for at least a couple more moments. Purdue will inbound the ball with 3:27 to go. They are having this game slip away from them a little bit, and no Carson Edwards for the Boilermakers as Klein gets it up top to Wheeler, swings it to Stefanovic, down low to Williams. Williams working against Teskey. Little turnaround hook, no good. Rebound by Eastern, he'll pull it back out. Eastern not a shooting threat, Matthews playing way off of him. Eastern into the lane, little floater, no good. Matthews comes up with the rebound. We are under 3 minutes to go, and it looks like Purdue has pretty much given up without Carson Edwards in the game.
Yeah, Purdue not showing much signs of life here with 3 minutes left, and this clock should move pretty quickly here.
You would think Michigan would get the bench players into the game momentarily. Matthews to Simpson on the wing. 10 seconds on the shot clock to go now. Simpson down low to Teskey. Good feed. Went for the dunk. He was fouled hard on the play by Wheeler, and then Williams kind of fell on him. But Teskey does get up okay.
Yeah, it looks like everyone's all right from a couple collisions down low. But as you mentioned, I expect Michigan to try and get guys like Brandon Johns in there. I mean, that's a guy that I think should maybe be needed later in the year if there's an injury or something. He could use valuable game minutes right now.
Brandon Johns, Colin Castleton, Adrian Nunez, these freshmen that could provide huge value to the Wolverines down the line. David DeJulius as well, freshman point guard. Teskey's first free throw is good. And Hunter Jr. going to come in for Eastern, who will head to the bench for Purdue. John Beeline still holding off on.
So that's 4 freshmen out there now for Purdue, along with Ryan Klein, the senior.
Teskey hits both free throws as Michigan leads 72-52, closing in on the 2.5-minute mark. Wheeler fakes to Klein. Now Klein does have it. Klein up top to Wheeler for 3. That one is good.
Wheeler really having a nice game here. Kind of under the radar, but that's a guy that has kind of kept playing hard through this game. Could be valuable for Purdue off the bench later in the year.
8 points, 5 rebounds. He is perfect from the field, 3 of 3, 2 of 2 from behind the arc.
Long and athletic as well.
He had a big putback dunk a few minutes ago. Poole to Brazdakis. Brazdakis the drive. Fouled on the way. And the other thing for John Beeline is he knows he's got some easy games coming up in just a couple weeks, so he might be saving the freshmen for those games rather than throwing them into the fire against a more talented Purdue team. But
yeah, I mean, I guess they won't really get much experience or value out of playing the last 90 seconds in a game like this. It's very well decided.
Brazdakis' first free throw is good. 73-55. Michigan leads, under 2 minutes to go now.
But yeah, I mean, you look at the Michigan schedule coming up at Northwestern and South Carolina, obviously some big ones, but then Western Michigan, Air Force, Binghamton. Those are 3 games where you'd expect to see the bench really get some run.
And now Brandon Johns will come into the game as John Teskey heads to the bench. He's going to get a standing ovation. 17 points, 8 rebounds for the big center, John Teskey. A great performance for him. Wheeler has it against Brazdakis. Hands off to Klein. Klein drives in. Easy layup for him. Matthews gives to Xavier Simpson. A minute and a half to go now. Michigan leads 74-57. Simpson probably going to try to work. Johns coming for the screen. Simpson could not get by. Now he does. Up and lost it a little bit, but Johns comes up with it. Brandon Johns nearly finishes at the rim, but he will go to the line and shoot 2 free throws now with 1:16 to go.
Yeah, and this game really wrapping up to Michigan right now out-rebounding, or actually getting out-rebounded, rather, 30-15, and that's going to be
34-30, Michigan leads the rebound.
My mistake.
battle.
No
worries.
mistake, reading the wrong column there. But this is going to be the first game that Purdue gets out-rebounded in this season.
Purdue getting out-rebounded by the Wolverines. A good team effort. 5 for Matthews, 5 for Poole, 6 for Simpson. DeJulius checking into the game for the Wolverines as Johns hits both of his free throws. 76-57. Michigan is going to move to 8-0. They'll go to Northwestern on Tuesday before South Carolina at home on Saturday. Meanwhile, Purdue going to fall to 5-3. They've lost 3 out of 4. They have Maryland this week before traveling to Texas and taking on Notre Dame. They've got a tough schedule ahead, and
that Texas game will be interesting. Two really relatively inexperienced teams there between those two, Purdue and Texas. That could be a good game.
Now the bench, DeJulius in the game. As I said a moment ago, Xavier Simpson still out there, but Nunez checked in for the Wolverines.
It's going to get Luke Wilson in here to sub out for Xavier.
So Michigan going full to the bench. Xavier Simpson gets one last standing ovation here for the Wolverines. It's Baird, Johns, Nunez, DeJulius, and Wilson for the Wolverines to finish out this game. A little trap, Luke Wilson working guarding Wheeler. Hunter puts one up over Wilson. That three-pointer no good. Williams comes down with it. Tried to go for the dunk over Johns, did not work. Hunter got it back, no good. And finally the rebound by Brandon Johns. David DeJulius will bring it up. There's an 11-second difference between the shot clock and game clock, so somebody for these Wolverines is going to get to take a shot here. CJ Baird has it. Johns gives to Nunez. Up top to Wilson. Wilson going to get a screen from Johns. Luke Wilson puts up a deep three-pointer, in and out. CJ Baird with the rebound. Baird drives to the basket. Reverse layup up and no good. Stefanovic grabs the rebound with 10 seconds to go. And that's going to be it here from Crisler. Purdue will just dribble out the clock. 76 for Michigan, 57 for Purdue. Another strong win for the Wolverines, another excellent defensive effort. They've held all 8 of their opponents under 64 points. How did Michigan get it done today?
I mean, as you mentioned, the defense was lights out, and they limited Carson Edwards to 19 points. And this is a guy that had scored 20 points in 6 games this season. So, you hold him to under 20 points, you're going to have success. They also only held him to a couple three-pointers. That's something that he excels at. But when you take Carson Edwards out for Purdue, they don't have many other creators on offense. They go with Edwards. So if he has a rough game, then Purdue will not have the offense to show for it.
Jordan Poole leading the way for the Wolverines. He had 21 points, 5 of 5 from behind the arc, and 5 rebounds. John Teskey added 17 of his own. Edwards got 15 from Ryan Klein, but his 19 and Klein's 15, really all that was going for the Boilermakers. We've got hockey tonight at 7 p.m. against Michigan State. Big rivalry game. Michigan fell in East Lansing last night. They'll try to get one back against the Spartans. That'll be in the same place, youtube.com/WCBN Sports. Drain and Lucas will be on the call for that one.
Yep, headed over to Yost now.
So you've got a long night ahead of you, going straight from Crisler to Yost.
Short hike, but I'm doing it for the station.
That'll be all for us from Crisler. Michigan goes to Northwestern on Tuesday. We won't have that one. We will have the game next Saturday as they face South Carolina at noon, and then again hockey tonight against Michigan State. youtube.com/WCBN Sports. For Daniel Thompson, Nate Sorensen, and Lucas Vargas, I'm Evan Osterley. Michigan defeating Purdue 76-57 to move to 8-0. That'll be all for us from Crisler. Good night and go blue.